What? No, I'm gonna be right there. No, I'm not still eating these. What? You're probably wondering what I'm shoving into my face. Is these delicious apple smacks. My girl Jess came to visit from the West and taught me the most simple thing that I'm now going to teach you. Taking apple cider, putting it on the stove, and slowly reducing it until it becomes a nice, thick syrup. The taste is to die for. The possibilities of what to use it for are endless. I'm going to show you a few, including making a super delicious fall mocktail or a cocktail if you're so inclined. So meet me back here, 9 p.m. BCTV, and please don't tell my partner that I'm eating all of these. The good news is it's so easy to make, I can just keep making more. Soon enough, so can you. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremekamp, and on this special episode, we have a guest from the West named Jess, who's going to break it down and teach us the ways of awesome apple cider syrup and the many things you can do with it. It's really easy. There's one ingredient. It's apple cider. No, I didn't make that, obviously. I just didn't feel like it. So instead, we're going to break it down, or as I should say, my friend Jess is going to break it down for us. And I'm going to show you the different things that you can do with this delicious and the lovely apple cider syrup.
Oh, hey. I saw you there. I chose to ignore you. But now that you're making that impossible for me, I guess you want to know what I'm doing here. Where's Sam? Don't worry about it. So we just went to a place, me and Sam, don't worry, she was there, to a place called September Farms. And now we are making an apple cider reduction. And it is just as difficult as it sounds. You see, you take apple cider, which we got from the cutest little farm stand that I have ever been to in my life. And now we are going through the painstaking process of reducing it. Apple cider reduction. Apple cider reduction. And that's it. We are just going to boil it. We're going to get all the water out. It is going to turn into a delicious paste. It's going to turn into the best syrup of your life. You can do so much with it. You can put it in pies. You can put it in your face. You can put it on ice cream. You can show off to other people and be like, I made that. And they're going to be like, you did not. You're like, I totally did. But yeah, versatile.
Oh, hey, yeah, don't worry. I'm still here. She didn't get rid of me because I chased the car pretty fast. But one thing that Jess forgot to mention is that doing this awesome apple cider reduction and putting it in a pie, she won first place at the OC, pie contest? What was it?
The OC County Fair.
Out Marmalade's like, get it right or pay the price. Okay. And out of all the people, winner.
Which is crazy. You know, it was a little touch and go there, entering an apple pie in Orange County. It was a real
Get it? Because of California, Orange County. That's okay. Bye.
Hello. Why do you keep staring at me? Right. You want to know about cider. So I'm going to check my apple cider reduction. I've just been stirring it. Keep stirring it so that it doesn't burn. I'll leave it for a couple minutes at a time. And then to determine if it is ready or not, take a spoon and you just check it with the back of the spoon. If syrup sticks, that is how you know your syrup's ready. So this is a little bit of syrup, but it's still pretty watery. So there's still a lot of water left in her. It's still tasty.
Look how much that has reduced. Look at those bubbles. Look at that beautiful Jess. Wow. But very cool. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. The beautiful finished product of the gorgeous apple cider syrup presented by award-winning apple pie expert from the West, our best girl, Jess. one of the many, many tasty ways you could utilize the apple cider syrup that you created is by making a nice little mocktail or cocktail for those that like to indulge. Man, this went fast, but the good news is I have plenty more to start this process over again. But this, my friends, is the end of Jess's world famous, award winning cider, or yeah, cider syrup. Mm, 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 mm. A little goes a long way. It adds some fizz. Oh yeah. Give it a little stir. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. It's so good. And it becomes this pretty and absolutely delightful apple cider fizzler. Mm. Just imagine all of the different ways you can bring this drink to life. Might add a little cranberry juice, make it more festive. You could also totally put real alcohol in this if you're into that, but that's between you and your tummy. If you're looking for a really tasty and healthy snack alternative, might I suggest making either a fruit leather or apple chips or apple chews, which was one of my favorite snacks of all time because it almost feels like you can have them forever and not have to feel bad about fitting into pants if you're into that sort of thing. But here are some ways that I've done it, and there's two different methods that I'm going to teach you about today. There's a super simple oven method where you're going to use a cookie sheet, baking sheet, some parchment or wax paper, and you're going to set the oven to 125 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 to 8 hours. It depends on your oven, which is why it's so important to get to know your oven. There's so many different ways to do it. I also used a dehydrator and I put it on 135 and let it go overnight. And that was enough to make little chewy apple pieces. You're going to see all of the process later on, but some of them were about matchstick size. Some of them became more like apple rings or half moons and apple rings. I also took the plunge, and by utilizing parchment on this and the tray that comes along with this dehydrator, try my hands at making fruit leather or fruit roll up, if that's what you're used to calling it, by using a little bit of applesauce and some of this delicious best Jess from the West apple cider vinegar. Delightful. You're able to do it just straight up with apple, nothing needed. Choose the apple flavor that you like the most. Or you can add some cinnamon. Or you can use some of the apple cider syrup and dunk things, or do a combo of any of those things and put them either in the oven or in the dehydrator overnight or 6 to 8 hours until it's to the consistency that you like. Maybe you want it crispier, so you want more of like an apple chip. Maybe you're like me and you want something to chew on mindlessly while you're doing work at your computer. It's your call, but it's going to be delicious no matter what. So pull up a seat and get ready to learn all the things you never knew about using something as simple as an apple and turning it into your new favorite thing. And now begins the delicious method of making a variety of different types of apple snacks. First, you're going to choose the apple that speaks to you. I always go for a Granny Smith. You might want to use a Honeycrisp. It just depends on what you prefer. And I'm going to show you different ways, like cutting it into matchsticks or chips or cubes. Or if you want to get fancy and you have like miniature cookie cutters, go for it. Make shapes. Understand that these snacks are not going to last very long. After you clean and chop up however you'd like your apple snacks, you're going to carefully place them either on your baking sheet with parchment, spacing them apart, or on the tray that's going towards the dehydrator that you may have or might be borrowing from the library. Whatever you choose, the important things here are to remember it's really good to try to cut things to similar sizes so that they all cook evenly at the same time as much as possible. Now, obviously, it's not going to be an exact science, and that's okay. If you make some that are too thin or some that are thicker than others, then you'll get a variety of things coming out of the oven or dehydrator. Some might be more chip-like with a crunch, some might be more chewy, and some might be a little chewier on the mushy side, almost like a gummy, like a natural apple gummy. Whatever happens, the flavor's gonna be there, it's gonna hit, and you're gonna love it. The technique is so easy. I prefer the apple cut into matchstick sizes. While I'm sitting mindlessly doing things at my computer for work, it's such a great snack alternative. It gives you something to do, and it helps my mind focus on the task at hand while keeping myself busy. It works for me. Maybe it'll work for you, or maybe it won't. Either way, there's no wrong answer here. And remember, we're just experimenting and learning together as we move along. You might try it one way and decide that you don't really like the dehydrated space ice cream type of consistency that might happen. You may prefer a more chewier apple, or maybe you want a crunchy chip-like consistency. The beauty of this is you get to try all of the different things. If you're putting it in the oven or dehydrator, it's still going to take about the same amount of time. For mine, I had them all set up and then I left them overnight for about 8 hours, which gave me a variety because for the show, I'm cutting them differently and I'm either soaking them in that delicious syrup or I'm just adding cinnamon, whatever the case may be, they came out different ways, which I enjoy, and I'm happy to be able to then share with you guys for the show. For the apple delicious fruit leather or fruit roll-up consistency that you may be more used to hearing, I used an applesauce, which you'll see next, and I realized that the fruit leather takes longer than the apple snacks because of the consistency. So although I was able to remove the apple snacks that ranged from chewy to crispy, I had to put the fruit leather back. And that's totally okay because you just set it and forget it and move on with your life. Delicious and worth it. Important heads up, what I learned when dipping it into a syrup, or even just some of the juicier bits breaking down in the dehydrator, some of them stuck. So, what can you do to prevent that? You could use parchment paper. You could dunk them a little bit in powdered sugar or something, or just understand that some of them will come off easily and some won't. Oh, why don't you just use cinnamon for the apples in lieu of powdered sugar if you want to be a little bit healthier? Or you can use ground ginger, cardamom, a mixture. It's whatever you like. Ooh, turmeric. It's supposed to be really good for you. It's your choice, but understand that sometimes things stick and not to panic if it's a little bit trickier to remove. I mean, I was able to. I just noted that, oh yeah, this sticks a little bit more. Not a problem. And now to making delicious fruit roll-ups or fruit leather, depending on whatever term you want to use. It could not be easier. You're literally just taking the applesauce puree or whatever consistency or fruit puree that you're going to use. I'm using store-bought applesauce because I had it on me. I'm adding a little bit, because a little goes a long way, of that delicious apple cider reduced syrup. One-handed right now taking off the lid, so bear with me. Here we go. Little goes a long way. Whoop. Okay. I added more there because the applesauce that's already on the trays, you see, did not have the simple syrup, or the apple cider syrup, and I realized that would really add to it too. So mixing it in nicely. You need to have a thicker consistency. It's going to shrink a little bit, so you need enough for it to, in fact, make the fruit leather. Otherwise, you'll be very sad and left with not enough. So I'm trying to fix all the spots that did not have enough. Super easy. And now all you're going to do is by taking a spoon or a spatula, what have you, just going to gently move it around, making it all even. I read that you want to make it a little bit like if there's going to be a thicker part, the outer edge should be thicker for some reason. I don't remember reading the science behind that or why, but sure, why not? We're experimenting, we're trying new things. Why not? The hardest part about this is not just straight eating it, which, although you won't see it in any footage that I've shared with you today, I did quite a lot of that. While we wait for all of that to finally get to becoming the finished product of our dreams, just wanted to share with you some more delicious marmalade treats. But this time, as we get to the last of our Halloween pumpkin, we're going to now get into fall, y'all. Thanksgiving territory. Because yes, Michaels now has deals on everything Thanksgiving themed or fall themed. From these super ridiculously adorable turkeys to yummy acorns. Tell me your dog is spoiled. Dog is spoiled. To regular harvest pumpkins with no face on them because sadly Halloween is over. And last but not least, it's part of my favorite time of year, fall foliage. So here's a little maple leaf. And again, these are just straight peanut butter and pumpkin puree. I skipped the yogurt this time because I ran out of it. No better reason than that. Changing it up a little. These are a little smaller than the pumpkins. Works just fine for me and marmalade. It's just a cute after she eats and we're having dinner. She gets one of these. So she's occupied, gets a special treat, and, doesn't try to beg. We're training her slowly every day and ensuring that she doesn't become one of those dogs that just harasses you the whole time you're eating. Now that my girl has had her little spay procedure done, we're going to start going to dog school. And she's going to now be delighted by being able to go to what I call camp, doggy camp, a couple times a week, just to socialize, get a lot of energy out because she is only 7 months old and she has a lot of energy and a lot of love to give. Could not be cuter. When I got this, it was 40% off. I'm sure it's gone down in price even more now that we're in November and everything's happening so quickly. As we know, the apple snacks finish first. The fruit leather stayed in a little longer. It came out beautifully. In the dehydrator, the way I did that, one tray comes with it. You can, of course, get more trays. Um, but this will now sit on a rack to cool, or maybe I could just put it actually directly on this granite top island. And it's going to sit for 10 to 15, 20, depending on how long it needs. Minutes, not long at all. And then this other one, I used parchment paper because I only had the one disc that came with the dehydrator. And I just want to show you, I had to be creative with how I use parchment because obviously it doesn't come out round. So I used a couple strategically placed pieces, but it was super easy for it to become the consistency and to not leak through or anything. So these two things are going to sit out 10 minutes at least, and then I'm going to eat it and enjoy it, but it's really easy. You can do it with different flavors too. I realized as I was researching and looking up, like, flavor recipes, a lot of them still use applesauce as like a base, and then you add like orange juice or pineapple juice or um, cranberry juice, whatever it is. You might be able to puree, if you have the fresh fruit, raspberries, strawberries, uh, make it like a applesauce with those things to make it thicker. But if you're just going to add some juice, why not just start with a really nice base of like applesauce, or maybe pear. You know how pear is like has a little bit more of a gritty consistency. Keep that in mind. I think if you wanted to do banana, you could just straight up blend banana. Um, there are a lot of ways to do it and possibilities, and luckily we have the internet. But the way I did it was with applesauce, which you saw. So I'm gonna take my delicious, because I'm an adult, I can have it whenever I want, fruit roll up. Go eat it by myself over here. But seriously, it's interesting to see the difference. This is with the applesauce, and this is just straight up that delicious syrup, apple cider syrup that Jess made for us and showed us how to do. So I'm excited for both, obviously, but I feel like this will be more potent because it's the apple cider broken down. And this is the apple sauce that had some cinnamon in it and a little bit of the syrup added to it. But it's a different consistency, which you can already see. So it's fun. Try everything. Try with vegetables. Let's get weird. It's never stopped me before. And something else that I love to do, by the way, with dehydrators, whether through the oven or just if you have a dehydrator, which if you check like a thrift store, a Goodwill, they often have them because people, jump on these kicks where they get super excited to use something, or they get gifted something that somebody else was hooked on and they don't ever use it, or there's no room for it, whatever it is. Some libraries even lend out really cool things like this. In fact, how I got started on using a dehydrator was through the librarian at my very first library job, and she lent me hers. And what she really loved to do is to put tomatoes, to do like a sun-dried tomato, which then I started doing after my first huge harvest of doing like the from seed crazy summer garden. And I just had so many tomatoes that nobody wanted them anymore. I could not push them enough. So I started dehydrating all of them. And then I realized how tasty they were, and that was a really great snack too. And of course, also great for cooking later on or saving for winter or giving away for gifts. But you never know until you try it. If it sticks to paper, run warm water over paper side and it removes easily. No matter how you slice it, puree it, blend it, or straight up pour it, You have endless possibilities. The only thing preventing you is your own imagination. Deliciousness awaits. So, what are you waiting for? Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremekamp. Big shout out to our special guest from the West, Jess, who was here for Jess Fest and taught us the ways of how easy it is to make apple cider vinegar and learning all the things that we can do with it, or just some of the things. Let your imagination go wild. Oh my god, so good. Some crunchy, some chewy. Mm. Mm. No matter what, the consistency, delicious and sure to please. Mm. 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 Who knew? Who knew how easy this would be? But now we all know. Now it's your turn. Come back here next Friday, 9 p.m. on BCTV.